Welcome, everyone. It's Alex King here at Cestrian Capital Research. I'm delighted to introduce Adam Santana at L2T Securities. Adam has been a long-time member of our investor and trader communities and recently launched a brand new and very successful pay channel with us. He's here to tell us all about his background, how he got into investing and trading, and of course, talk to us about the channel that he now runs on our Stock Symposium platform. So take it away, Adam. Great to have you on. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex, for the opportunity. So I'll just get right into it. Adam Santana is my name, and my company is L2T Securities LLC, where I publish, trading thoughts, trading ideas, theory that I am actively employing myself in my own account and with risk management as a primary component of any and all ideas. I began trading in 2016, something that just caught my interest when I started seeing, numbers and lines on a screen and was, started to realize that that was a way for a lot of people to make a lot of big money. And I think that as is a common practice of a lot of people that get started with trading, I had a lot of success in the beginning, made a lot of money really fast, which probably is the worst thing that could have happened because then I lost a lot of money even faster. But it was a good education, and I feel like that is an education that every good trader has to pay for one way or another. So I became addicted. It's something that it's not my day job. I actually am a lawyer by training, but it has always been an interest and a consistent interest since that time. With varying degrees of time that I can dedicate to it. But I've always enjoyed, especially since I've joined the Cestrian stock universe, being able to put these ideas out there, have a community, engage, pick at them, challenge them, make them better so that we can, as a collective, see the market better. And ultimately, a lot of the ideas that have been shared, they've ended up, working out pretty well. Not everything's a winner, and any trader that tells you they win all the time is absolutely lying to you, and you need to ask to see, their receipts. But ultimately, the focus of my strategy is, we obviously try to win every time with every trade, but at the same time, protect the downside so that, we don't wipe out our accounts. We don't take too much risk relative to, our capital. We want to protect that capital. It's something that we've worked hard to put into this market, to put at risk, and we want to make sure we're doing it so that we can stay in this game and ultimately succeed. So again, been doing this for, it's now 8 years, 2024, and I wanted to share some ideas that we've utilized recently or that I've published recently in the service. It's now become a paid service because it's been successful, and there's been so many people that have been following in the Cestrian universe and that are now part of the inner circle. So we're going to go through some examples here, starting with what I think, not to toot my own horn, is a pretty righteous call out of the SPY in October of 2023 when we just went on this righteous rally here, year to date at this point. But on the screen, everyone can see where you can find me, where you can sign up to the service, and if you have any questions, how to go ahead and ask those. So with that, I'm going to get you guys right into the SPY trade that we talked about. As everyone knows, if you're a trader, you've been following the markets, we just rocket shipped off, the 410 basically level of SPY in late October of 2023 when everyone was looking here and said, woe is me, it looks like we're going to, crash through the floor. If you look at this on a weekly, let's just fast forward here. This is what we were looking at back in late October, and everyone thought, well, we double topped and now we're coming down. This green box, however, was something that I had drawn and I had called many in the service out to months before we had reached here. And again, I was calling it out in October. Most people will say they were doing it, but I can show you guys the receipts. The first time I called it out in the service, or rather the time that I was yelling it loudly on October 3rd, 2023, I indicated that I had posted this back in about September or August. And I said 410 could be it. We were really taking a beating on the SPY and all the indexes really, but I can't really zoom in on that chart much more, but it's the same box that you're looking at on this screen right here. We didn't hit 410 and bounce. sorry, I was off by about 3 points because we hit, I think, 407.5. Nevertheless, that was on October the 3rd. And I then again, let me show you this one. This was on October 26, 2023, where I said, we're all taking a hit, but I think the market wants to go up. My bias, like Alex here, was bullish, and I was loading the boat across the board. Um, this is again October 26, 2023. If we go to a daily chart, and we go back to the green zone, October 26 was this candle, this candle right here. Then we had a bottoming out day, and we were off after that. When I say add positions across the board, that's exactly what I mean. And I've been selling into some of the strength here as of more recently, but this was a righteous call out, and anyone who took it, I think would agree. So I
So,
didn't
so
know.
Adam, it's Alex. So the thing that I draw attention to with Adam's work, and why I really like his approach, and why I'm delighted he's running a service with us, is it is entirely data driven. So Adam's been a member of our community for a couple of years, and I've seen him be bullish, bearish, bearish, bullish, completely independent of what the prevailing narrative might be, completely independent of what's on the news that day, and completely independently of what anyone else might think. He's just simply done his work, looked at his charts. His method, by the way, is completely different to anything that we use in Cestrian branded services, which is another reason I really like the work, because it's a completely different lens to our own. But it's always been data driven, and I've never seen Adam adopt a sort of theme to a market. This is a bull market, this is a bear market. It's always been data driven. And this SPY call in October, it's easy to look at SPY and the Nasdaq now and say, well, it's obvious it was going to bounce, but it really wasn't at the time. So this was a really bold call. And as Adam says, the receipts were there, loud and clear call, and that's performed just fantastically well. If you look back to that time, you won't find many people that were calling buy in capital letters at that point, and Adam most certainly was.
I appreciate that. And you know what I neglected to do in my haste to kind of just speak on these trades is to go through some of the theory of why. So Alex mentioned that Alex is a fundamentalist who has become a technician. I am a technician, purely and simple. Numbers and analyzing the underlying tickers and the business fundamentals is not my strength, and it's I don't have time for it, nor do I have the training of it. So I leave that type of thing to Alex, and that's my benefit of what I get out of the service. But in this case, my strategy is pretty elementary, and I'm going to just condense it in this particular example to what I was looking at and how I had the conviction to take that trade. The yellow line, the yellow horizontal line here is right there marked at 410. The way I picked out that line and why I thought that was an area of significance at that time was it had served as a pivot point for price in the past. I mean, going back quite a ways. We're talking about all throughout 2022, and if I pull up a weekly chart, you'll see the significance going back to basically right around COVID times. That was equilibrium. We were above it for some time, below it for some time, and that was our first retest of it. But it's not just the fact that it's just not a horizontal line that I picked randomly. It has to also do with buying and selling interest. And anyone that uses volume profiles or they're using volume to inform their trades, I at that time had seen that there was this very, very large indication of transaction volume that was centered around that level. And I used that as another corroboration point to say I think that there may be a significant amount of buying interest here if we get there again, because it's basically a defended level. Lo and behold, that's exactly what it was. And I could not have predicted, and I don't think anyone could, that we were going to shoot right through this resistance here and go all the way up to almost 500. But I did think that we may be able to get back here, and this has all been gravy ever since. But the method is we're looking for prior points where there's been buying interest, which we don't really know if it's buying interest. We know it's transaction volume. We hope, based on various other factors, sentiment, etc., that it may in fact be buying interest and it's actionable. So that's the SPY trade in that case. And that was a good winner because it's on a major index. But it's like I said, one of several. And there's another call that I'd like to show people when we started to um, open our pay service, which is on the Cestrian Inner Circle network. And this one was, excuse me, for a shipping company of all tickers, which is called Zim, Israeli shipping company that is in the news a lot lately because of all the conflict out in the Red Sea and the rebels attacking. And again, I'm not really paying attention to all that stuff. I just happened to notice lines on the chart and volume, at the end of December. And let me pull up what I saw back then. This Forget the green box for a moment, right? This blue box here is what I had called out. This is a first trade in the service where I indicated, look, I was monitoring to go long anywhere between just under $10 and right around here at 8.3, call it. And again, if we just go back to when we're at late December before we cross into the new calendar year, this is what I was looking at. This significant buying and transaction volume, if you will. This gave me conviction that this area was support. And if we go into a larger view time frame, you can see that there's really not much buying going on down here until we get to more recent history. And then it sort of jumps out like a sore thumb. This is support down here below the level. So this was another section where I started to see we're getting a lot of buying interest. I think this is an actionable level. And again, if I need to, we'll go to receipt land here. Let's see. I think Zim was the first trade. Bear with me, guys, because I'm going back all the way to the beginning. Okay, first trade here in trader's perspective, December 21st, and there's the indication, there's the chart, there's where we're bouncing off support, there's what we were targeting for something more long-term. Short term was indicated that we were going to try to aim for the mid-teens, which was, I think it was 14, 15 at the time that we were aiming for. So there's the call out before we have the more recent price history. And I can tell you from the trade history, which we can pull up here briefly. This was in fact the closed Zim trade first, where we purchased it at $9.59 per share, and we closed the first tranche at 35% after it rose in less than 2 weeks to $13, and then it went to 14.5. We closed the second half at 51.4. As you can see here, by the way, not everything is green. Like any trader, there are losses. So I wanted to be candid with everybody and see that the service is new. There's not that many trades in it. I try to focus on high quality trades, high quality setups, and I am proud that was the first call out because it just gives corroboration and it gives evidence that the system does work. It's very unlike what you'll get in Cestrian's universe, and from a lot of other traders who use every kind of indicator out there and every kind of moving average. I try to stay away from that. To me, it's a lot of noise. It doesn't help me. What helps me is price and volume.
The other thing, Adam, the benefit of that is anyone that's looking at your work in the service can easily understand why you've reached the view that you've reached. And so a thing I've seen in many stock services is if you ask a question, you get this sort of dissembling response, and if you challenge, you either get sort of mild aggression back or 13 indicators thrown at you. And one of the things I like about your work is it's simple. And so you can always say, well, the reason I thought that there was going to be support here or resistance there is two things. It's price action and it's volume action. That's it. So it's really easy for anyone that's using the ideas to inform their own work. It's easy to understand. It's easy to quiz you and get a sense of how you reached your conviction. It's simple. Anyone who has reasonable experience in the markets can use this and take advantage of it in their own work.
Definitely, and the truth is that when I post it out there, it's timestamped, so there's no hiding. I mean, I'm putting the stuff out there, guys, so that hopefully everyone can see the market better. And I enjoy being challenged by the community of traders that we have. I'm not I'm not all knowing and omniscient. I make mistakes, but at the same time, I encourage those questions because everyone can be wrong, including myself. So uh, the other one that I wanted to bring up is a loser because, like I said, they can't all be winners, and Coinbase has been extremely volatile of late. Um, this was something that I called out really the beginning of January. I believe it was the 9th. So let me show you what that would have looked like with and without volume profile. So right around this point in time, let's take all the noise out of the chart. Um, if you see here, this red line was, again, this was recognized as in the past as sort of a level of support or resistance. We had turned it into support for some time, came up, sold off quite a bit, and I saw positive development of price action, which I thought coincided with, a new line of support that could be actionable. And I indicated that I thought we could go long anywhere between, 150, 155, somewhere in that area, targeting a trade 170 plus. Why 170 plus? Because I'm trying to get back into this pocket of selling here. If I pull up the volume, you'll see what I was seeing back then. A lot of transaction volume here. Again, not rocket science, guys. I'm just looking at where there was significant buying interest and trying to ride it to another level where there may be some resistance because you got some buyers there that want to get out. It's really not that hard. But this is not necessarily buying. This also could be selling. And that's what we found out because I went long at around 155, right in the middle of that zone. And as we go forward, well, we crashed right through. But that's why I called out a stop loss at 145. And that's where we exited this trade. So that was right up here. This candle, I'm pretty sure, is the one that took us out. And all this, all this below, we missed out, which is, just as well because I never would have thought that would happen, but that's why I have my stop losses in place to begin with, so I can protect myself from my limbic system.
Yeah, because I was just going to say there are two benefits to that sort of risk control, which is one, you limit the amount of actual money you lose, but two, everyone knows the feeling of how much emotional and physical attention losing trades get, and they occupy your mind. You spend too much time on them. You don't maintain a sort of a balanced emotion. You can't stay emotionless when you're looking at the next opportunity because you're too worried about this one over here, and it basically poisons your brain. And so, you know, the longer you do this, the more you become accustomed to feeling nothing when you take a small loss, because the taking a small loss should feel like nothing. It's just part of the business. It's just you go to work. Sometimes you take some wins, sometimes you take some losses. Whereas if you let these things run, they can turn into awfully big losses. Occupy front of mind, front of attention, and then you can't think straight, and then you're in no sort of emotional state to try and make any money at all. So that sort of risk discipline, again, is something I've always liked about your work that you've published with us, and it's great to see it in action. And again, just to you're too modest to say it, but I see absolutely no dented ego or attempt to defend the first idea. You just say, well, this was wrong, take the loss, move on, and that's great. That's how people should work, but it's how most people don't work. They'll explain why the stock's going to come back, or well, the logic was right, but something else happened that couldn't have been expected. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter, right? Take a small loss, move on.
Definitely. And guys, that's part of that original trading education that I had to pay for,
Yeah,
years
we've all
back.
paid for that. Yeah, we've all had
Right.
that. But not everybody learns from it, right? But it's
Yeah.
you have to feel the burn, feel the pain to go. I'm not doing that ever again. Um, and then if you're looking at somebody else's work, it's always good to know that that person thinks about risk the whole time and thinks about controlling risk.
And it works the other direction too, everybody. You can't look at a chart like this if it's at this point and say, I'm gonna go long here. Everything looks like it's hunky dory. This is a short term pullback, and that looks like good volume, and I'm gonna take this to 200 plus. That is bad. That is a bad risk reward opportunity. It's never been up here before in recent history, and all of a sudden you're going to take this long. Why would it's all about entries too? You want to take good opportunities. Or if you had got in down here and you're writing it up here, and you start to see that there's lesser volume, well, maybe this is time for you to start taking some profits. No one ever knows that 187.98 is the top. You're never going to know that. But if you can, use the chart and say, you know what, this is looking like we may be topping out. I'm starting to see, um, you know, selling, aggressive selling. Maybe, if you're down here and all of a sudden you get down here, maybe exit, take your win. Don't think, oh, it's going to come back. Sometimes it's good to take your wins, even if they're not as big as they once were. A win is still a win. It's too easy
Yeah.
to lose money.
Yeah.
Take your wins when you can get them. Not everything has to be, YOLO calls for 300%. In fact, that's not what we do here, by the way. That is the exception. That is the quickest way to lose money. So I want everyone to know that if you're looking for that type of, high beta adrenaline rush, you're not going to really get that here, because this is about controlling and preserving your capital while growing it in a sustainable way. Um, so uh, I'm going to get to just one more trade that I think is it's current, and it potentially is still actionable. And this is on something that I didn't even really know much about until I joined the service, which is Trade Desk, advertising company. This is let's go on the daily chart here. Um, Typical buy zone here. I've called this out in the service as far as what we're targeting, which we're aiming for higher into the 80s. We want to kind of get past this shelf of support, and where could it go after that? Who knows? But right now we're in no man's land. We've bounced down here off of this level, down in the low 60s, and this was an accumulation zone, which I had called out as between 62 and a half and up to 66 and a half. Members in the service have been buying, as myself. I think we're currently in for a blended cost average of about 66, per share, and the position is up around 9-10% right now. Not bad, not great. Again, we're not looking for 100-200% hitters. It'd be nice if we had those, but I am not telling anyone to buy Nvidia. Most definitely not telling you to do anything like that. If you want to, Godspeed. But we're looking for things that are good opportunities, and this looks like something that is developing some potentially constructive price action here. So, the reason, again, it's the same reason as every other trade. This is a pivot point. There is transaction volume here, just around the mid 60s to low 60s. There is aggressive buying and defending of price down here at the low 60s. So that's why we call this as a buy level. Can it go down? Can it breach this 60 down here? Absolutely. I think our stop loss on this is 55 actually, which in a prior trade call out, Alex, if you remember, I had this was an earnings dump on Trade Desk, and you
Yeah.
can't even see
No,
it on the chart, but
this was a stellar call. This was about, if I remember, it was about 30% in a day or 2 days or something. It was a stellar call.
it bounced right off. So this line here was this 55 horizontal line. I had identified that's, again, another point of price significance, where it's basically price equilibrium going way back. We're talking about, again, COVID times. And we had never really had an opportunity to test it still yet on this chart. You can't even see it tested because it's a larger scaled out version. But if we go back and we look at where it actually bounced, you can't even see it on the daily. I mean, we have to go back to, here we go, 4 hour. It bounced right off of that thing and it just rocketed. And I was buying it, and I was telling everybody, I'm buying, I'm loading, because I'm adding in chunks. This looks good to me. I may have been wrong. I didn't happen to be, but that's why I was buying there, because it had never even been tested, and it's gone up. Sold it on the way up. Didn't catch this full move by all means, but nevertheless, got it at a really good point. Sold it right around here. Made good scratch. Now we're taking another position. I think that maybe it may have some room to go. So, the strategy is, again, centered on price and volume. Price and volume, I think, is all you need. Anyone that wants to use a bunch of indicators and it helps you, do it. This system is not telling you that you have to do it this way and that my way is right. I find the Wyckoff also can be helpful. Doesn't help me, but I do find that in our community we develop confluence, because some people are using Wyckoff, some people are using indicators, some people are using price, and there's all kinds of ways that if we're arriving at the same conclusion, it can give you more conviction, to see the market better, and to do what you need to do to try to, take the right trades.
That's great,
So
Adam. Can you walk people through, if they want to learn more, where they go to find out more, and if they want to join up, how they join?
absolutely. So there is a link to reach out right here. Launchpass.com/Thestrian Symposium/Traders Perspective. But this link will be in the bottom of the YouTube link at the first comment in case there's anything. Feel free to leave comments there for any questions. And if anyone wants to reach out, you can do so this way. I'm glad to certainly answer any questions about the service before anyone joins. But otherwise, this is where to find us. And obviously, you can see the price for annual and monthly subscriptions here. So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything else we should
No,
cover here, Alex.
that's great. I mean, just to, again, congratulations, off to a great start, both in terms of building the community. It's been a really fast start in terms of number of subscribers joining, and the, if you like, the environment in the chat room is just great. Some great calls so far. One loser with coin, risk controlled really nicely. A series of winners. Folks, I follow Adam's trades for the most part. I don't see all of them, but I follow most of them, and it's been great for me so far. So anyone's interested, if you take a look at the link, as Adam says, it's in the first comment at the bottom of this video. Learn more about Adam and the service that he offers. And if you want to join up, you can join on a discounted yearly subscription or a monthly with no lock-in. So if you're not sure, try the monthly, and you can always move up to annual. Thanks very much for listening to us today. As Adam said, any questions at all, post them in comments to this video, and Adam and or myself will get back to you with any questions that you may have. Thanks, Adam. Much appreciated, and look forward to continued success in the room.
Same here. Thank you.